And that should be everybody.
Great, thank you. Good evening. I am calling this public meeting to order in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGLC 131, Section 40, and the Boston Wetlands Ordinance. Boston City Code Ordinances, Chapter 7-1.4. The Boston Conservation Commission will hold a virtual public hearing this evening on October 8th, 2025 to review the following projects to determine what conditions, if any, the Commission will impose in order to protect the interests of the public and private water supply, groundwater, prevention of pollution, flood control, prevention of storm damage, protection of fisheries and land containing shellfish, and protection of wildlife habitat. This evening's hearings will be followed by our regular meeting, and in accordance with Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, we are conducting this meeting online. To ensure public access to the deliberations of the Conservation Commission, the public may access this call through telephone and video conferencing. Additionally, the meeting is being recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, please turn off your video. Members of the public may have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions. To do so, please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself. Send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. For the record, I am Michael Parker, Chair of the Commission. Could staff please identify themselves?
Elena Itamari with the Environment Department.
Didi Hernandez with the Environment Department.
Max Harledge with the Environment Department.
Great, thank you. I'll call the roll of commissioners who are present. Commissioner Linay.
Amy Linay.
Commissioner Wilson.
Mike Wilson.
Commissioner Estes Smargiassi.
Steve Estes Smargiassi.
Commissioner Herbst.
Ann Herbst.
Okay, with that, we'll get going here. Just as a note, I know that there was a lot of public interest in this particular application regarding channel side project over at 244-284 on A Street, the public amphitheater and regrading on the Ford Point Channel. At the applicant's request, that hearing has been continued. Elena, when is it continued to? November 9th?
It's November 5th.
November 5th. So we won't be hearing that this evening. First item on the agenda this evening is notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2079, Boston file number 2025-038 from Childs Engineering on behalf of the Flatley Company for the proposed repairs to the spalled concrete underdeck, pile caps, and beams, and the replacement of a section of the damaged fender system to the Domino Sugar Pier, 425 Medford Street in Charlestown. Resource areas designated port area, land under ocean, land subject to coastal storm flowage, 100-foot buffer to coastal bank, 25-foot riverfront area, and 25-foot waterfront area. This matter was continued from the September 17th, 2025 hearing. We had a full hearing that night. The only thing that was missing was a DEP file number, which has now been assigned. Elena, is there anything else we need to do here?
No, that was it.
Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to issue the order of conditions and close the hearing.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Smargiassi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, next item on the agenda. Notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2073 and Boston file number 2025-034 from Epsilon Associates on behalf. Nope, I'm sorry, that has been continued. Still on the agenda there. So that's the channel side acquisitions project for the public amphitheater. And again, that has been continued in November 5th hearing. So next item on the agenda, notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2078 from Jacobs on behalf of the Massachusetts Port Authority for the proposed regrouting of an existing granite seawall along Seaport Boulevard and the installation of backflow prevention devices to 3 existing stormwater outfalls at 242 to 280 Northern Avenue, South Boston waterfront. Resource areas, designated port area, land under ocean, coastal bank, land subject to coastal storm flowage, 100-foot buffer to coastal bank, and 100-foot buffer to rocky intertidal. Who's here on behalf of the proponent?
Yes, thanks, Chair Parker. Chris Bush, Environmental Planning Permitting with Massport, here this evening with Chet Myers, our Deputy Director for Maritime, And our consultant team, Jacobs, we've got Kyle Purdy as well as Hannah Sullivan, and I'll hand it off to Kyle to work through the scope of the project.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. So next slide here. That's our title page there. So we have backflow prevention along Seaport Boulevard. Next slide, please. So the purpose of this project is to install backflow prevention along Seaport Boulevard by upgrading 3 existing stormwater outfalls, and then the addition of repairing an existing seawall that's kind of located on the western portion of our figure there. The project will enhance flood resiliency, protect critical infrastructure, and support Boston's long-term climate adaptation goals. Next slide, please. So here's our existing conditions map. You can see by the different polylines there, we're dealing with all of the different WPA resource areas. The areas highlighted in green are proposed work zones. So the one in the central, the one on the east, that would be for working through manholes for the outfalls. And then the location on the west, that is the required work zone we need in order to regrout and repair that existing seawall. So in location 1, we'll be installing a tide flap. That's been the photographs you've seen so far on those big outfall culverts there. You can see the tide flap that we'll be installing at the very end of it. In locations 2 and 3, we'll be installing inline check valves through the existing manholes located within the roadway and adjacent sidewalk area. And that will just be inline check valves. And then as far as construction methodology, the location 1 will be installing at low tide. A 2-person crew will lower themselves to the work area by ladder and manually install the backflow prevention at the outfall culverts. The installation of this will be within 1 tide cycle. For the seawall repair and regrout, we do not propose any shoring or turbidity curtains. We would, at low tide, this is all exposed, and we would repair, kind of on the left-hand photo of our CAD drawing there, the areas that we've seen kind of spalling and areas to regrout within the existing seawall, and then mobilize our crew out of there before the tide comes in. At locations 2 and 3, the backflow prevention devices of the check valves will be installed within the existing manholes working atop the sidewalk and the roadway along Seaport Boulevard. Here's our proposed impacts. So like Michael mentioned, there's a number of WPA resources within the area. The permanent impact for the entire project will just be the coastal bank associated with repair of the seawall. In order to do so, we will have temporary impacts to land under ocean as well as LSCSF. So that's, to install the tide flap as well as the check valves from the manhole. The flood zone actually comes across the roadway. So here's our temporary impacts within the roadway. And then kind of lastly, you have the 2 100-foot buffer zones. So one's associated with the coastal bank, kind of top of the seawall right now. And then in the eastern portion of their site, there is a mapped into rocky intertidal shore area. So 100-foot buffer zone extends from that as well. And just lastly, our project complies with the performance standards of coastal bank, land under ocean, and then maintains the interest of LSCSF. This photograph here was taken in 2018 during that really high tide event in February, but just kind of shows our work area and how our proposed activities are going to assist in backflow prevention onto the roadway, and then kind of build more resilient conditions with the repair of the seawall, as well as these backflow prevention devices. So that's it. I'd be happy to take any other questions you may have.
Great, thank you. So Kyle, that storm in February 2018, is that
Yeah.
still considered the storm of record?
That's what we based our design off of. Yep.
Okay. Okay. One observation here. I was saddened to see that you had to pay the filing fee out of your own personal checking account here. So I don't know what's going on at Massport, but hopefully parking rates aren't going to be raised to cover our fees. But and also Chris and Chet, we're getting used to this since you put in the NOI that Massport is not subject to local ordinance. I have to say that we don't agree with that interpretation. We think the case law rightly states that Massport is subject to local law as long as those laws do not interfere with the performance of essential government services. Since the ordinance is passed, I don't recall any situation, any application that you brought in front of us that if you complied, and I will say that you generally do comply, if not always comply with the local wetlands ordinance. You just don't recognize that it's that you do need to comply with it. So I've never seen a situation where compliance would have interfered with your performance of essential government services. So, and I'll be repeating that every time I see it in one of the NOI applications. But as far as that goes, Elena, DMF signed off on this. We're okay?
Yes, we should be set on this.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Linay, any questions?
Sorry about that. I actually was just curious about the grout itself and the composition, recognizing that it will be back underwater in high tide. Is that specially formulated?
Specially formulated for the seawall, yes. So yeah, it's just concrete blocks right now that make up the seawall, and then that grout is resistant to salt water, right?
And can you talk a little bit more about that? Is that something that's I'm just not familiar, so I'm just curious to understand.
Yeah, I'd recommend our engineer here, our professional engineer, Hannah Sullivan, that helped with the design here. Is there anything else, Hannah, you'd like to add into Amy's question?
Sure. The aggregates that are used in the concrete mixture are sufficient for seawater usage. Has been used in the past. So it's nothing kind of out of the ordinary that's typically used in grouting the head wall.
Just a higher aggregate content.
Right.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, I was just curious about the sort of extent of the backflow that is coming associated with those pipes, because sort of there's obviously along Northern Ave there, but like just how far in that goes, because there's sort of like that storm that you were showing in 2018, both of those storms were pretty close to overtopping the seawall anyways, so there's sort of a very small margin of between where it's going to be pushing up and then just coming straight over the top.
Yep, so both those manholes that we'll be accessing the outfalls from, they're located right on the edge of that northern part of the sidewalk. So it's on the northern part of the roadway. Our backflow prevention will be installed in that area kind of seaward or north from there. For anything kind of south of there, we're not touching the existing infrastructure.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. Understood. I was just wondering, like, in terms of the how far back those stormwater lines go and between the grade and everything like that. How far into the seaport you'd have the amount of backflow that you are preventing with these devices.
So I don't know if it's helpful to scroll back a few slides, if you don't mind, to I think it's third slide with our CAD drawing. It shows it goes to the south part of the roadway, and that's where our high point of the stormwater infrastructure, that one right there. So you can see kind of the dotted red line runs along the roadway. Where if you go down probably half the block to the next block, that's where the end of our catch basin inlets start.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner S.S. Margiazzi?
I guess following up on this, I was trying to figure out, from those photos, how big an area are you really protecting? And are there areas which are substantially lower than the rim of the the curb essentially there, right at the ocean. Are we, you're protecting against 6 inches of backflow, and anything more than that is overtopping the seawall and flooding?
So that significant event in 2018, that was a substantial storm, right? Our backflow prevention goes right to that. It takes a lot to get to over that seawall.
Yes, it's looking at the photo, it seemed like the at that storm, the elevation of the water on the wet side of the seawall was close to the top of the seawall. I think that's Michael's question is mine as well.
I could also speak to that if you'd
Thank you,
like.
Chet.
This is Chet Myers. I'm the deputy director from capital programs associated with this project. It's a very good point. Obviously, this is not the permanent climate change solution for the seaport, and we don't mean to presume it to be. However, it is a temporary solution that does need to get put in place because of the issues that we've already shown. And I'd say it's reasonable to say there's at least a couple to a few feet difference between the lowest catch basins and the edge of the curb in some locations. And it's not just the curb. There's an elevated walkway that runs along the shoreline in that location that might be another 6 inches to a foot higher. Obviously, over the long term, some sort of more permanent solution, similar to the ones that City of Boston is considering. We are also looking at them as well. Will have to be installed in this location, but that's a much larger project and a much deeper conversation that ultimately we will have to have with the Conservation Commission. But either way, even if we did install that long-term solution, we would still have to put these tide gates on there because then, again, the water would be higher than the roadway and it would be coming right up through the manhole. So either way, this has to get done.
Yeah, I guess I recognize the need for them. In fact, my next question will get to that, but it was just trying to figure out. So this is essentially an interim, the first step in a long-term solution or an interim solution, depending on how you want to look at it.
Yeah, a step. But yeah, absolutely.
That makes sense. What's Massport's long-term plan for maintenance? Tide gates are wonderful until a rag or a board or something gets stuck in them, and then they're useless. And once something damages the structure, it's useless. So what's your I presume you can own a lot of these over time.
We actually already do.
Yeah.
We have a number of them we've installed at Conley Terminal. To prevent the same sort of situation that was occurring historically. And we do have an inspection program for those existing ones that are already there. There are some under berth 10, some under berth 11, some that we just installed at berth 17, and some that we installed in the Lobster Cove. These are the first ones that we're installing in this specific location, but we will be adding those to our inspection processes associated with these structures.
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful.
Sure.
Thank you. Good question on the inspection and maintenance. So Chet, I assume you wouldn't mind if you sent over for our files your inspection program?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Just a way of us to learn what you're dealing with and what we'll be dealing with city property. Just want to remind members of the public, if you want to provide public comment on this hearing, please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or you can send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Commissioner Herbst?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Elena, I don't see any raised hands.
I don't see anything either, and apologies, I'm having some camera trouble tonight, but yeah, no raised hands. We didn't have any questions in the inbox either, so we should be set.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions with the condition that Massport will submit their maintenance plan for the, was it the floodgate, the tide gate?
Tide gates.
Yeah, sorry, tide gates, and close the hearing.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Margiazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst.
Aye.
And I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You
Okay, next item on the agenda, notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2074 from McFarland Johnson on behalf of the Massachusetts Port Authority for the proposed construction of 2 temporary modular trailers and installation of associated utilities at Logan International Airport. 17 Lovell Street is the address in East Boston. Land subject to coastal storm flowage is the resource area. What do we have?
Good evening. This is Mary Orlando from Massport's Environmental Compliance Team. Here with me tonight, we have Rob Hogue and Kirsten Weber representing Massport. And from McFarland Johnson, we have Danielle Spicer. She'll be walking us through the slides to explain the project in a little bit more detail. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mary.
Good evening, everyone. Danielle Spicer from McFarland Johnson. We can go ahead and jump to the next slide. So this project is proposed. It's a project that will construct 2 temporary modular trailers that will be utilized as temporary on-site employees for sleeping quarters for Massport snow removal personnel at Logan. So currently they're housed in Terminal C, which is undergoing construction, so they need to be temporarily relocated before this winter. These trailers are for critical staff during snow events and need to be located as close to the airport as possible so they can provide that rapid response times for snow removal and minimize disruptions to the airport during bad and inclement weather. So this is just the location of where that site is going to be. It's on its airport property owned by Massport that's located between Lovell Street and it's bound to the Lovell Street to the south and west, MBTA Blue Line to the north, and Neptune Road to the east. So it's in a highly developed urban area surrounded by the commercial site, and it's basically northwest of the airport. Next slide. As noted, basically the only resource area is the project is located within the 100-year floodplain, which is considered the land subject to coastal storm flowage. So that's what we're here tonight to talk about. Next slide. This is just a picture of the existing site. You can see it's all paved. There's not really much around it. It's relatively flat and where it's kind of looking south towards Lovell Street. So just to kind of give you an idea of what the existing conditions look like. Next slide. So this is the proposed layout plan, just showing the 2 modular trailers on the site. You can see the majority site will remain paved with the 2 trailers. There is a small sliver to the north that we actually will be able to move a little bit of pavement with some crushed stone, so there will be a slight reduction of impervious area throughout the site. Next slide. This shows the grading. We're actually able to put the trailers onto the existing pavement. I'll talk about the foundations just a second, but basically what that means is the grading is not going to change on the site. So it's going to remain, flat. We're not going to be changing the grading. And actually, just so you know, the contours that are shown are 1/2 foot contours. So it looks like it's a little bit steeper than it actually is, but they're 1/2 foot contours. So you can kind of see it is pretty flat throughout there. And the existing grading will remain and the storm system on site will remain. Next slide. This is the proposed utilities. So obviously we need to bring in new utilities for the new trailers. So there'll be new sewer, water, fire protection, electrical lines. We have filed concurrently with Boston Water Sewer. So I'm going to talk more about the utilities and just some of the changes based on those comments we received yesterday from Boston Water Sewer. But I just want to show you a few more slides on the proposed intent of the layout for this project. Next slide. So this figure that we included with the NOI shows the fill within the floodplain. As I previously noted, we're not changing the grading. So the fill is only for the concrete foundation piles that the trailers will sit on. So these concrete blocks will be placed on the pavement. And then once they're leveled out, then the trailers will be set on top of them. So the trailers are raised. So the finished floor elevation will be 3 feet above the 100-year floodplain. So the fill is only associated with that concrete foundation blocks. So maintaining with the interests of the land subject to coastal storm flowage. And actually the next slide shows an elevation view where you can kind of see a little bit better. The existing grade does vary a little bit. So those piles, the concrete blocks will, be staggered, but then we'll provide a level area for the trailers to sit upon. And you can kind of see the floodplain elevation, which here is shown at NABD 80, but at 10, the finished floor elevation will be 13. So again, 3 feet above the 100-year floodplain. Before we jump to the next slide, I just wanted to mention we did just receive comments from Boston Water Sewer, and one of them was pretty significant that we are addressing, but wanted just to show it will result in some geometrical changes within it. So we thought it was appropriate to show it to the Concom tonight. If you go to the next slide. What Boston Water Sewer had noted was at the rear of the site, which is basically north of it, there's an existing easement there, and the trailers were a small corner of the north trailer was hitting it. So they asked us if we can rotate the trailer so that they're completely outside of it. So this is a quick sketch, just kind of rotating it and showing how the trailers would actually be located outside their easement. And as you can see, I've got some notes on the side. This will not change the impacts to the fill within the land subject to coastal storm flowage. We're not changing grading. They're still going to be located within the existing pavement. It's not changing square footage of the trailers. Really, the updates are geometric in nature, and they're only and they're not going to affect any previously identified impacts. And then the last slide, just to show you, just shows how we would just revise those utilities accordingly with the relocation of the rotating of the trailers. We are working with Boston Water Sewer on addressing all their comments, and we will be submitting final stamp plans to the Concom once they've been addressed, but we just wanted to let the commission know that the final layout would be a little bit, would be different than what we had previously submitted. With that, I'd like to open up to questions.
Sure. Thank you, Danielle, and thank you for getting us the information about the utilities. I know that came up at a late time. So quick question on stormwater. Stormwater management here. Will stormwater treatment improve as a result of this project?
The only improvement really is that small reduction of 1,600 square feet of impervious area. So because we're not changing the pavement, we're not changing, there's an existing catch basin on site that collects the runoff. It's a pretty small site. That's going to be maintained, protected and retained. So the runoff from the site would continue as it is under existing conditions, but there would be a small reduction of impervious area. So really that's kind of the mitigation for the site.
Okay, thank you. And quick question, curiosity, is this a new firm for you? You were...
Yes, I used to be at Green International Affiliates and moved last year to McFarland Johnson.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, and of course I have to repeat our disagreement with Massport's interpretation of their being subjected to the local wetlands ordinance. I won't go through the whole spiel again, but for the record, since that's on the record, I want to get that objection or disagreement on the record for us. Elena, do you have anything on this?
No, I don't have anything on this. I think that we should be all set. And just to reiterate, I think that the existing conditions that we have for the project should cover any changes that need to happen between now and before construction commences.
Right, you'll be getting a final stamp plan.
Exactly. Yeah.
Construction
So
before until...
we'll review
yeah.
that. Yep.
Yeah, and is that already a standard condition, or do I have to call
It
for a
is.
special?
Nope. So it's already in the set.
Okay, fantastic. Just want to remind members of the public to provide public comment. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Commissioner Linay?
You mentioned that these will be temporary. Is that a couple years, you said?
We're not sure exactly how long they will be. I don't know if Mary, you want to expand upon that, but it would.
Yeah, I can take that. Yeah, so I think right now we're planning on using them for the next several years. I think that's at least like 2 to 3 years until that space back in the terminals is able to be renovated. As Danielle mentioned, it is better for them to be like as close as possible. So while this is still close, where the original bunk housing used to be a lot closer. So yeah, it's just a matter of probably a few years.
I see. And then this area will be returned to a parking lot. Is that the intent?
I think in the short term, I don't know if there's any long-term plan for this specific area, but yeah, it'll likely just go back to a parking lot.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson.
Yeah, so from my recollection, when we had some manufactured housing that was in the floodplain over in like where's the Charles River, there's like a FEMA standard for manufactured housing with which I don't like maybe this is that that has like that they be adequately anchored to whatever the sort of pile supported foundation, that type of thing is. And looking at your detail, there are some sort of joist and screw attachments and that type of thing. I don't know what the standard of adequately anchored is, but I guess I'm assuming that this meets that.
That's correct. Excuse me. That is correct. Yeah, the anchoring mechanism has been reviewed and approved by the state building inspector.
Okay. And then there was another part of it, and this might be more just for more manufactured housing, but for both the utilities and the actual housing unit itself, there's something about how straps needed to connect to the frame or something like that, and just wanted to double check that. I don't know, this is a very niche thing for what we usually see.
Yeah, no problem. We can provide those details. I don't have them prepared right now, and I wouldn't be able to share my screen if I were. But we can certainly provide those anchoring details. They have been all calculated and stamped by structural PE
Okay.
and reviewed. Yep.
Okay. Fantastic. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No, great question. Yep. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you. Commissioner S.S. Margiazzi.
No, my questions had to do with the temporary nature, and they've already been answered. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Herbst.
Similarly, I was interested in the temporary nature. So eventually those will be removed. Is that the... Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Elena, any raised hands, any
No.
emails?
I don't see any raised hands, and we did not receive any emails either.
Okay, and so do we need a special condition regarding the information that Commissioner Wilson asked about? No?
No, I mean, yeah, if you have stamped drawings by a structural, that's, yeah, we're good.
Okay,
I
we'll
think
get those.
the Chair Parker, if we could include just that that additional condition that if there are any additional borings, that we would just be notified and the locations would be specified.
Oh, okay. Okay, sounds good. So with that, I entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions with the special condition that should any additional borings be necessary, that staff will be notified and provided plans regarding those borings and close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner S.S. Margiazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2072 in Boston, file number 2025-033 from Arcadis on behalf of the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation for the proposed maintenance and repairs of parking lots, access roads, walking paths, and the replacement of a culvert at Pope John Paul II Park in Dorchester. Resource areas are 25-foot riverfront area, 25-foot waterfront area, 100-foot buffer to coastal bank, 100-foot buffer to coastal beach, 100-foot salt marsh area, land subject to coastal storm flowage, and it is an area of critical environmental concern. Who's here on behalf of the proponent?
Good evening, Commission. This is Stephen Perry with Arcadis. Joined this evening, I have Catherine Lampiasi with the Department of Conservation and Recreation, and Doug Partridge with Arcadis.
Great. Floor's all yours.
Take it away, Doug.
All right. We can go on to the next slide. So basically, we're on Pope John Paul II Park, and really this project's, I think, relatively really straightforward. It is a maintenance project focused on the repaving of roadways, parking lots, and trails throughout the park. So you can see where we are in the city of Boston. On the right, you'll see the area, all the gray areas, which are the paths, and the parking lots are going to be repaved. Next slide. So really, in the end, you know, the park provides a valuable open space and waterfront access to the Neponset River. The proposed project will maintain these roadways, parking areas, and walking paths throughout the park to maintain that safe public access to public open space. Really important for the commission, there are no new impacts or increases to impervious surfaces from the project. The project will occur only within existing footprints and is solely a maintenance project. I know the commission had a question last week during our site visit. In terms of schedule, pending a funding source, the earliest the construction we begin is likely the spring of 2026. Next slide.
Doug, before you go, can I just quickly ask you,
Yes.
that image, urban parks, is that a local, is that our urban wild program or the attribution for the picture?
Oh, it's from a staff member that grabbed it online. So I apologize. We just wanted to make sure we cited it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious who generated that. I didn't know if it was city or someone else.
It was I believe they grabbed it from, I don't believe it was an Arcadis photo, and that's why we cited it.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Next slide. So I'm going to go through 2 photos here that just kind of outline the site between the north and the south. I think as we go through, there's a number of slides. They're going to be fairly consistent with one another. These next 2 are really to outline and give you a kind of a concept, a visual for what these areas look like. You have, again, another aerial with the red showing the limits of disturbance. On the right, you have a picture of the walking path, as well as one of the access roads into the parking lots. These areas will be repaved. You know, from the road perspective, you can see the granite blocks. It'll be repaved up to the granite blocks. Next slide. Thanks, Elena. Appreciate it. This is the southern portion of the park. Again, another photograph of the main parking lot in this area, as well as the walking trails. Next slide. Okay, so there's 2 additional pieces to this we wanted to highlight. The parking areas, there are porous pavers that exist. They've been there for approximately 25 years, as far as we can tell. These will be dug up and replaced. They will be replaced with either porous pavers or a porous asphalt. So I don't believe at this point DCR has confirmed exactly what that is, but it's going to be a porous material to improve stormwater. One of the things is it's about 2 feet wide from that granite block. I believe it's going out 4 feet. So it'll be improved porous material within the parking lots. And we'll show it in the next slides where those are located. Another piece to this is a culvert that is in the southern portion of the site that is in need of repair. It's definitely, as you can see, affecting the walking trail. This will be excavated in place and replaced in kind. There is no upland or no wetland that it's draining on the, I guess in the lower part of the photograph. It's all upland, just stormwater drainage. The commission also had a question about the tree that you can see in this photograph. We don't anticipate that the tree will be impacted from the construction, but it's worth noting that if there was ever an impact to that tree, it would be replaced in kind immediately. So, next slide. All right, so now I have a sequence of slides that really just show the limits of disturbance being the gray areas, and then hatching, which really represents significantly overlapping resource areas. The red is the land subject to coastal storm flowage, and then the yellowish area is overlapping. We have coastal beach buffers, coastal bank buffers, waterfront areas, salt marsh buffers, and riverfront areas. We're all within those areas on a sequence of all these slides in different areas, but really in the end, within existing features that are already paved and important to the public. Next slide. Again, this is the walking path. So again, you can see that we're proximate to the waterfront area. So we're going to have a lot of overlapping resource areas. Next slide. So this is just a cross section from our details that we provided relative to the process and the construction of the repaving. It's anticipated that the existing surface will be milled approximately 2 to 3 inches, which is in that orange box. Asphalt paving will then be used to resurface these areas to the existing elevation. One of the comments or questions during the site visit was whether there were any areas within these parking lots or roadways where they ponded water and could benefit from new drainage or slope changes. And to Arcadis or DCR's knowledge, there are no areas that really need that improvement. So they really are going back to the existing grade. Next slide. This really goes to the porous pavers and the construction of them, or the porous pavement. Really, the pavers will be replaced. It requires an excavation of 2 feet. And basically the demolition will require 2 feet being removed. You'll be constructing a drain, under drain, which is in the lower portion of it. The catch basin, the clean out valve will be on the far end. And then that will drain the entire length of the porous material. In terms of maintenance, it's part of DCR's regular inspection BMP program for the park. We don't really anticipate any change to the maintenance plan as a result of this project, because really we're just replacing them and improving them in kind with a slight expansion. Next slide. So this goes to the southern parking area, really similar context. Worth pointing out for this, and I apologize for not pointing out for the north area, but that purple line is the extent of the porous material and the underdrain. So you can see where it is located. Next slide. I think there's a couple slides here that speak to just the walking trail and the proximity to resource areas. Again, very similar, coastal beach buffer, coastal bank buffers, waterfront areas, salt marsh buffers, and riverfront areas. Next slide. Again, similar. You can see in the very bottom part of this image is that that culvert area. So you have the repaving, and that culvert is in the lower portion of this this detail or drawing. Next slide. Okay, culvert replacement. These are the details that we provided. In the end, we're a question from the site visit is relative to the contaminated soils, because this was an old landfill. The landfill is on 3 feet of clean fill cap. So we don't, and with a barrier. So this project or culvert will not be going or below that capped material. So we don't anticipate contaminated soils. It will be replaced in kind. And I spoke to the tree. I think, yeah. Next slide. So we went through all the regulated areas. Things of note is a couple things. Proposed project is not located within either mapped, estimated, or priority habitats for rare species. It is within the ACEC for the Neponset River, which will take us to the next slide. And, you know, we'd been working with MEPA through ongoing coordination. I believe we just received and confirmed via email that this is the case today. Given the fact this meets the definitions of routine maintenance and or replacement as defined by MEPA, there are no applicable thresholds for this project. And as such, we do not have to file through MEPA, given that it's defined as routine maintenance and replacement. So that was good news on that front. Last slide, I believe, is next, which is just speaking to Chapter 91 and the fact that an existing license does exist from 1998 that authorizes the construction and maintenance of these features within flowed tidelands. So we don't, a license is not required, but we'll continue to operate under the existing one. And with that, I think I can conclude and answer any questions that the commission might have.
Okay, great. Couple quick ones. One is, can you just briefly talk about your erosion control measures?
Yes. Oh, apologies for not including it. In the end, it's primarily filter socks right around the milling or repaving area. As we saw in some of the roadways, you have basically a granite block that's providing most of that protection. There will be protection for the storm drains that are existing. That's part of the submittal as well. So temporary protection for those. But for, like, let's say the trails that go directly in and are proximate to the resource areas, where we've proposed filter socks with the option, I believe we included a detail for silt fencing, but really in the end, those would probably create more disturbance than they're worth for this type of project, given the amount of trenching in order to get them in.
Okay, understood. So new pavers are being put in. I understand that the old pavers had completely failed. They were what, a few decades old?
Yeah, I think 25 years old is what we went back and looked, and that we're thinking they date at least a couple decades.
Yeah. What is the expected useful life? And it, I guess we'd want a few things. Whenever pavers like this are installed, we ask for the manufacturer's maintenance program. And maybe actually this is a good segue before I ask that question for Catherine. I'm not sure, and Elena, you may know the answer to this. I don't know if we have a copy of DCR's BMPs and maintenance for parks. But if we don't, if Catherine, you could direct us to the link or whatever resource that's available so that we have it in our files. And then, go ahead.
Sorry, we did include DCR's O&M plan for their MS permit compliance, which does cover parking lots, roadways, parks, their stormwater system. That's part of the NOI package.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you. I missed that. Does that also cover the BMPs for the pavers, maintenance of pavers?
So I know Doug had mentioned that they were sort of, the DCR was kind of up in the air about pavers or porous pavement. I believe a conversation I had earlier today with their director of stormwater is fairly certain that they're going to go with porous pavement and not pavers. But the inspection process would be annually as part of their MS4 program. And I know for certain areas, they do it more than annually, but it would be at least annually that it would be inspected.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I think that was it for me. Just let me remind members of the public, if you want to provide public comment, please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Elena?
Sorry, one last thing. I know you had started to ask about the expected life.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes, that is about 50 years with proper inspection and maintenance. You'll get about 50 years out of the porous pavement.
Okay. How does that compare to pavers, if you know?
I do not know that off the top of my head. I made sure to research the pavement, but I don't know the pavers.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, Elena, anything?
Thank you. Yes, the only note that we had on this is that we would recommend a special condition requiring that the tree near the culvert be replaced if, for some reason, through the progress of this work and more excavation, it turns out that the tree might need to be either moved or is somehow damaged, depending on where its roots are growing.
Okay. Thank you. Just a quick question on that. As far as you run into a situation like that, what is the best chance of survival, a new tree or a tree that is being relocated? And maybe Commissioner Linay has the answer to that, but.
Well, I would
say. I'll go to Commissioner Linay
then. Relocating a mature tree is usually not successful, so.
Yeah. I will say we've done a lot of work in the fact of you can damage upwards of 20-30% of a tree's roots, and it can survive very well, believe it or not. It seems like a really high percentage, but we've done a lot of work for other projects relative to excavating around tree roots.
Oh, great.
Yep.
Okay. Elena, you were done, right? The tree was your.
I was done. In that case, yeah, so whichever version of that the commission thinks is appropriate would.
Yeah, I think it'd have to be after consultation with you.
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay. Commissioner Linay, anything else?
I had a follow-up question on the maintenance that you were asking about. I think the annual inspection is good to hear. So if it's deemed that, the infiltration rate isn't achieving the target, does that mean, are you then vacuuming that out? Is that a contracted maintenance? Or does DCR do that in-house?
I don't know if Catherine could answer that. I do know that the maintenance piece of it would be done via, I believe, street sweeping equipment as part of the normal lot maintenance, which is also done annually. But Catherine, I don't know if you guys sub that out or do that in-house.
Yep, that's correct. We have a contract for that, so we sub it out and they do it annually to all of our parking lots. Yep.
Okay. And I think I'd be interested to know, I guess, if the final decision is a permeable paving. We're talking about permeable asphalt.
Yeah, like Steve had mentioned, we're leaning toward that permeable pavement. I do believe it has less maintenance, but obviously you still have to inspect and do the vacuuming process. It's like a street sweeper that goes by.
Okay. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, no questions. I've been using that parking lot a lot for this fall soccer, so.
Oh, nice.
That's a great park right there, so thank you.
Fantastic. Commissioner Estes Margiazzi?
I'll second the great park, but I do still have some questions on the permeable. Does the existing permeable pavers have the under drain? Is that a new addition?
I believe that's going to be a new feature. The
so, too.
pavers do not, currently have an under drain.
Yep.
And I don't know if you saw in the detail, but as part of the under drain at the high end, we would be adding a clean out structure that would allow them to maintain the drain.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I have some skepticism is the wrong word, but anxiety about long-term maintenance. Ordinary street sweeping over permeable paving can actually make things worse. The sort of best practice seems to be the sort of high lift vacuum street sweeping. It's not really street sweeping, street vacuuming. And more frequently than once a year, you get a lot of clogging over a course of a year, particularly in an area where you may get some blown sand and so on. So the earlier question about whether you're doing infiltration testing, you'll find it because the parking lot's not going to drain as well as you're expecting. But essentially, what's your remedial actions if it fails to work? Just a general anxiety about storm drainage for good storm drainage ideas that fail if they're not maintained fully.
Yeah, I do want to say that I did misspeak when I said it's like a street sweeper. It is a high level vacuum. Tom Bolton, the director of stormwater, has a very comprehensive plan that he does. So yeah, Steve, did you have anything to add?
Glad to hear that clarification. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I think you covered it.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Herbst?
I was sharing Commissioner Estes Margiassi's concerns, and my understanding is twice a year. I mean, I just did a quick Google. Is what's needed for vacuuming porous pavement. I'm also concerned. I looked at it. It's like 1% of all the paving in the whole park, and so I get worried that this little 1% is going to not get dealt with. So I think at a minimum, I'd want confirmation that you'll be using that kind of equipment, the kind of equipment that's needed, and would want to know that the plan is for a twice-a-year vacuum. If if it's correct that that's generally what's prescribed for porous pavement. So that's a concern. I also wanted to ask about the culvert because I can't remember. I know you're enlarging it. Whether whether there's concern or whether you took into account the potential for greater drainage and erosion on the. It looks like it goes to the bank there.
It goes. Yeah, you can go before Steve. You've seen it.
No. Yeah, sorry, I was just going to mention that, you know, that there's existing riprap that has kind of been dispersed on the downstream side of that. So the plan would be to reconstruct that spillway with that existing riprap as best as possible and not bring in new material, but if needed, new material would be brought in. But yeah, we had considered that when sizing the culvert.
Well, I guess if it has been displaced, I'm wondering whether the material needs to be larger on the riprap, or whether you'll be displacing it more with a larger pipe.
I believe if it's done in line with the detail that we've got on the drawings, then it should not get displaced.
I don't have further questions.
Okay, thank you. So I think that that discussion, the last couple of discussions here, leads to a special condition that prior to construction, that we want to know what the final surfacing plan is with the appropriate maintenance, operation and maintenance. With, if it is porous pavement, I think we're looking for biannual vacuuming, not sweeping. Did I get that right? Commissioners? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Elena, any hands raised from the public?
No hands raised, and we didn't receive any emails either.
Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions with two special conditions. One regarding finalization of the paving materials being used and the submittal to the commission staff of the maintenance manuals or maintenance program for each of the surfaces. And if we're talking porous pavement, we're looking for vacuuming, not sweeping, twice a year. And also if the tree, if it's determined that the tree needs to be removed near the culvert, that the proponent will reach out to staff to discuss removal, moving, or I guess relocation as well. And close the hearing. Would anybody like to make that motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Margiazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, next item on the agenda, notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2077 and Boston file number 2025-037 from LEC Environmental Consultants, Inc. on behalf of Allendale Farm for the proposed construction of retail market barn, retail greenhouse, and associated stormwater management and site improvements at Allendale Farm, 255 to 259 Allendale Street in Jamaica Plain. Resource areas: a 100-foot buffer to bordering vegetated wetlands, 100-foot buffer to bank, and 25-foot waterfront area in bordering lands subject to flooding. Who's here on behalf of the proponent?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members. Barry Fogel from Keegan Worland on behalf of the applicant. And if you could go to the first slide, Elena, please. You'll see here our team includes LEC Environmental. They're the wetland scientists and consultants. VHB is our civil engineering group. Union Architects have done the architecture. KMDG are the landscape architects, and we're the permitting attorneys. With me tonight are Helen Glotzer, the CEO of Allendale Farm, Andrea Kendall from LEC, Annie Gleichoff from VHB, and Kaki Martin from KMDG. What you'll see on this image is a rendering of the proposed retail greenhouse on the right and market barn on the left. These are new structures that are replacing the old structures that you actually gave us a determination of applicability earlier this year for the removal of the old structures. So this shows what is being proposed to be constructed. Next slide, please. This aerial shows the old structures that were there. Allendale Street is on the bottom left. The purple line running along the side on the left is the Brookline Boston municipal boundary. You can see the pond to the right of where those structures were. There are still 2 greenhouses remaining that are pointed out, but all the other structures were and have been removed. You'll also notice the structures that are closest to the pond, actually, portions were in the waterfront area. And when we get to the next slide, you'll see that all of the work, the structures are going to be further from the pond bank. This slide shows you the proposed conditions. So the blue line is the pond bank. There is, you can see, a orange line that is the 25-foot waterfront area from that. There's a purple line cutting through the middle of the site, which is the buffer zone to the pond bank. And then you'll see a north-south running purple line, which is the 100-foot buffer to the BVW boundary, which is over on the right and shown in green. So those are the 2 new buildings, the market barn on the left, the retail greenhouse on the right. There's a viewing deck between the 2 and open space. All of that is outside of the 25-foot waterfront. And only a portion of the parking lot area is in the buffer zones down in the lower right-hand corner. Everything else is outside of buffer zones. There is a bordering land subject to flooding in the lower right-hand corner to the right of the parking lot that we'll speak about in just a second. Next slide, please. This is a rendering, a landscape rendering that gives you a sense of the surfacing. So the parking area, there's no formal stormwater management on the site now. A full stormwater management plan has been designed by VHB as part of the civil engineering. All DEP stormwater standards are being met, and much improved there. This shows you as well, on the left of the municipal boundary, you'll see some structures that are being addressed in Brookline, but the stormwater management system actually collects stormwater from impervious surfaces on the Brookline side as well, and they've been taken into account. The green area between the structures and the pond right now has been a mown area. The embankment below the flat surface, and we have a photograph that will show that, is going to be maintained as a grassed surface, but the embankment above the pond bank is actually going to be allowed to become overgrown, if you will, and only cut twice annually rather than being mown and weed whacked. And we have a picture to describe that. So the waterfront area is being improved in that regard. There are only 2 activities occurring in the waterfront area, a very minor, small square footage. I believe the next slide will show that. Well, this actually describes the stormwater management system. Right now, as I said, there's no stormwater management occurring formally. It fully complies with DEP standards. There will be deep sump and hooded catch basins, infiltration chambers below the gravel paved surface of the parking area, and energy dissipating stormwater outfalls, one at the northwest end and one at the southeast end. And as I mentioned, it incorporates all the impervious surfaces in Brookline. Next slide, please. This actually now, so this is the bordering land subject to flooding area. The turquoise line is the boundary of the BLSF carried over from MassGIS. So these dark lines are new contours showing the grading. So the small amount of additional fill in the, as indicated on the table between elevations 185.5 and 186.5 for a very small layer, is going to occur to the left of the BLSF boundary where you see at the top of the image, next to what's the proposed loading and storage area. And where that new stormwater outfall is at the bottom of that image, it's actually being lowered. And so that's the area where the compensatory flood storage is being added. So there's a net increase at both the elevation 185.5 to 186 and 186 to 186.5. So not only are the compensatory volume at the same elevations, but it's increased. Next slide, please. So this is the waterfront area discussion. In the top box, you'll see this is at the northwest end of the waterfront area, left of the retail building. You can see inside the orange waterfront line, there is the riprap apron of one of the stormwater outfalls. So that structure is in the waterfront area, but needs to be to get the proper outfall from the stormwater system. The middle image is to the right of the greenhouse. We can go back and look if necessary as to where these are located, but you can see just inside the curve of the waterfront arc, there's a small section of a retaining wall, a low retaining wall that's going to be established to maintain that and to create that flat loading and storage area so that the farm operation can have mulch or garden soil or other materials that customers purchase brought in by truck and then moved around by forklift. And so that retaining wall will actually have a small guardrail to keep both equipment and materials out of the waterfront. But the sizing of that area was selected based on vehicle movement evaluations and to make sure there was ample room for forklifts to move around. And then the bottom of the three images shows that little dark line that sort of looks like it connects the two buildings, the market barn and the greenhouse is a gas connection. And to trench that, it's going to be close to the waterfront. It's not in the waterfront area, but just for completeness, we wanted to make you aware there might be a temporary shallow trench going on before that area is resurfaced with loam and seed. And we're permanently removing, as I indicated, any of the other structures that used to overlap in the waterfront area have been removed. There is where that, in the top image, where that outfall is, there actually is a sort of a gully in the ground that was established from a sump that was in the basement of the old building that was there. That's going to be replaced with a subsurface pipe and the surface will be restored. So that's part of the restoration also occurring in the waterfront area. And I think the next slide, if you would. So this shows the view of the top image is from northwest to southeast. That's the pond on the left. That's the remaining greenhouse one that's up on that little higher level of the embankment. None of this is the bank to the pond. The bank to the pond is that gray area way down near the pond. So, but this slope, so the retaining wall that we just looked at is going to be basically where that edge of that white structure is. And as you can see in the lower image, that's actually a view of the waterfront area now since the earlier this year, which has been allowed to grow back. So rather than mowing it and weed whacking it, it's been allowed to grow back. And what our proposal is going to be to slice seed in native seed mix and to allow that to sort of recover with on the slope and become a native seed mix on the waterfront area on the slope embankment up above the pond.
So Barry, if I could just clarify,
Sure.
What is going to be in the riverfront area is a retaining wall about where that white, I don't know what that is, but that white.
Yeah, that's actually part of the cover of a hoop house, greenhouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
go back to that slide that showed the orange sections that I can clarify. So the only work or structures in the waterfront are
Right.
on the top image, that riprap outfall, and then just the part of the retaining wall that's to the upper portion of the curved waterfront line.
Okay.
So not the whole retaining wall, but just, and the full square footage of both of those is 200 square feet of a calculated waterfront area of 4,340.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
And I think, let's see, the last slide I just described, and I think our last slide is questions.
There you go. It's a beautiful looking, wow, much improved. Okay,
Yeah.
before we go on, I just want to let members of the public know to provide public comment. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Barry or the engineers on the line, what is your infiltration value? Is it an inch and a quarter?
Amy Glykoff can speak to that. Yep.
Yep. So we are in the 1-inch infiltration for BWSC requirements, and that's what we are providing throughout the whole site, 1 inch of infiltration.
Okay. How much capacity are your detention
I think we're
structures?
providing about, with the gravel pave, it's about 7,000 cubic feet of storage, and we have some concrete infiltration chambers for roof runoff, and a small area of the deck that's going to that. And I believe I can jump to that on my end. That's
So what
a
is that,
few-
like on a 24-hour release?
Yes, those drain, they infiltrate within 72 hours.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And they detain the full inch storm.
Okay. I think that's it for me. Elena, what do you have on this?
I didn't have anything further on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Linay?
I was just curious about that detail or the retaining wall that you described. So I'm looking at the gravel driveway detail, and that's meeting that wall. And so the wall itself is proud of the gravel surface. Is that right? And so are we assuming that water's and it's infiltrating there versus running off over the wall? It's not making its way over the wall. Yeah.
Yes, Amy, that's right. That we're using it because of grade change, but it also serves this purpose of containment, actually.
And that area is directed, the drainage is to the south.
Is sending it back toward the road. So it's both the grading is doing that, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then the parking areas have a gravel pave surfacing, right?
Yes.
You just talked a little bit about that and some storage.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So the gravel pave that we're using in the parking lot, it's similar to a porous pavement system, except for instead of the surface being a porous paver, it's actually HDPE rings that have a porous gravel surface that's separated from a crushed stone. I believe we have a 12-inch crushed stone open graded void for infiltration below this, with filter fabric in between to keep any kind of fines from migrating into the real storage of it. But the idea is that gravel it stays open and it allows that water to get into that basin a little bit more easily than a permeable paver. And it can be raked or vacuumed, like leaf blown for maintenance.
Great. And any concern about that filter fabric getting clogged or?
Yeah, I think the expected lifespan duration of this is about 20-25 years, like we were discussing on the last project. And with Helen being out there as the main user of this, I think they do fairly frequent inspections on this. So we have an O&M plan set up that calls for 4 times a year maintenance on this. So just seasonally making sure everything's still operating as intended.
That's great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Estes Margiazzi?
Good. Glad to see these improvements on this well-protected farmland here. No questions on this specific proposal, though.
Thank you. Commissioner Herbst? Did Commissioner Herbst drop off? I don't
No,
see-
no, I'm here,
Oh,
sorry.
there you are.
Just having my own technical difficulties.
Okay.
I have questions about how close you are to the BVW, and but you talked a lot about the waterfront area, and I appreciate that, but I don't. I guess I'd like to know how close you are. It looks
Sure.
very close at one point, and whether you have pulled back or whether you're actually closer with these plans than you were before.
Sure, if you could go to the site plan, the civil site plan, Elena. Yeah, there we go. And zooming in on the right side there, the lower right, if that's possible.
I wish it was.
But so the buffer zone, yeah, we're so that's the stable, if you can see that, Commissioner, that rectangle to the right of the gray parking.
Yeah. So
That's
I'm
where
looking.
the Highland steer right now, and that actually is being moved. That is being moved closer to the BVW, but still some distance away. And the riprap, the outfall for the stormwater is being put there where it's also in BLSF, but it's also in the buffer zone to the BVW.
Can you go ahead?
It's just a large BVW there. Curious, I mean, is your concern we're not putting any fill at the BVW line or that's going to have any chance of getting in there. And in fact, not that this is necessarily your question, but with the improved stormwater management, right now there actually is a stormwater channel that flows there. So we're going to be eliminating any kind of sedimentation or erosion of materials, not only with that, but with the improved parking surface of getting into the BVW.
Yeah. I guess part of my concern is I see the limit of work at one point is very, very close to and that always is a concern. Could you tell me, and perhaps I should have been able to see this, but I didn't get focused on it. What is other than the stable, what is the land material around this outlet, and what are you doing there? Is this greenery all around?
Actually, yes, and Kaki may be able to speak to that, but in that corner of the parking area, there is some current vegetation, trees. Some are dead and dying, some are non-native. So when we're removing any of the trees in that lower right-hand corner of the parking area, we're going to replace them by caliper inch. We need to comply with the Boston Tree Ordinance. So we'll be using native species and planting trees in that area. Kaki, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, sure, Barry. And we are just right now getting exact, precise tree by tree data on that in that area. But it's basically a stand of Norway maple. Everything from kind of 1 inch, little things to, some larger caliber inches, and then there's, 1 or 2 kind of other species in there. But we are really, focusing on a plan that is, all native and trying to kind of recreate a sort of woodland, a dense kind of woodland effect there. So it's not sort of like one big tree is going to be plunked down, but really trying to be respectful of the sort of visual condition of the landscape from the road there and replace it back. But we do need to regrade in there to do the work that Annie's been doing on the stormwater management. And it really actually is an opportunity to sort of upgrade the, vegetation with a more diverse, with natives and a diversity of native trees.
Elena, can you pull up that landscape image? It might be the next one.
That would be
The
helpful.
rendering. Yeah, so you can see that's the area there in green below the stable
The
location.
stable, yeah.
Okay.
That shows where that new planting is.
And
Okay.
you know, it's very possible actually more, there'll be more green circles in that area. As I said, we're kind of working with Bartlett Tree's been on site this week, and the data is actually just coming into us this evening about exactly how many caliper inches would be taking down and what we will be replacing.
Okay. And looking, I see that tree planting, and looking above there, between the stable and your limit of work, the area where it doesn't show something, what will be happening there?
Well, nothing, we're not changing anything in there. The area sort of page right to the stable, to the limit of work, is really staying as is, which is Curtis's Curtis the steer's space. And you know, I think the aerial, you know, is a little misleading because it's what you're seeing is a thrown shadow there, but that's really just sort of grassy vegetation in there that Curtis sort of moves out from the stable, you know, toward the wetland.
Okay. All right. I guess I just suggest that because you are going to be, I see you're going to be regrading in that planting area fairly significantly, that
yes,
and maybe for the staff to think about, or to have in a special condition, that area of erosion control is going to be very important, because otherwise you're going to be sending it directly into the BVW. Okay.
Absolutely. Our intention is to not only, you know, all the detail on the erosion control, but you have several conditions in the order in terms of logging, having the contractor keep daily logs of conditions of erosion control and materials on site. So point taken on that, Commissioner.
Okay. I'd just say that's an area of special concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Elena, I'll defer to you. Are we going to need something extra besides our standard conditions to something like prior to construction, staff would be reviewing erosion controls in that sensitive area? Or do we have enough in our order of conditions that we don't need that?
We could specify if we wanted to, but there is already there are conditions noting that they should be submitting that plan to us, and that there needs to be an adequate stock of them on site. There's also a standard condition that says that there is an option for the staff to meet with the applicant on site before any work begins. So what we can maybe do, and Barry, if this is okay with you and with the project team, is we could maybe plan to come out for another site visit to take a look at the erosion controls after they've been installed, especially near the BVW, and conduct that site visit before work begins, but after the erosion controls have been installed.
Absolutely, not a problem.
Sounds fine.
Makes sense. Okay, good. Thank you. Elena, I don't see any hands. Did you get any emails?
I don't see anything either, and no, we didn't get any emails.
Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to issue the order conditions and close the hearing.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Margiazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you and good luck.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2075 and Boston file number 2025-035 from GEI Consultants on behalf of the National Park Service for the proposed maintenance and repairs of the marine terminal facility at Pier 1 in the Charlestown Navy Yard, 93 Chelsea Street in Charlestown. Resource areas: land under ocean, fish runs, land subject to coastal storm flowage, 25-foot waterfront area, 100-foot buffer to coastal bank. Who's here on behalf of the proponent?
This is Joe Bertherman, permitting specialist with GEI Consultants, and also with me is Kevin Bruchian, who's the project manager with GEI Consultants.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay, so this project is for repairs and maintenance at Pier 1 in Charlestown. You can go to the next slide, please. So we just have our topo map here, shows the site in the inner Boston Harbor in Charlestown. Go to the next slide, please. So this is just aerial imagery. It shows the overview of the Charlestown Navy Yard, which is owned and operated by the National Park Service. Pier 1 is positioned between the USS Constitution and the USS Cass and Young. The pier structure where the majority of work is taking place is made up of 13 vaults with granite abutments that sit on concrete foundations. The top deck of the pier includes reinforced concrete, asphalt, and masonry. So overall, the work involves repairs to just address minor deficiencies to the current structure and enhance the safety and stability of the pier deck and the barge that's attached on the south side of the pier. The project work will involve temporary impacts over but not within land under the ocean and fish runs, and then within land subject to coastal storm flowage, the 100-foot buffer zone to the coastal to the coastal bank, and the 25-foot riverfront area. If you go to the next slide, please. So this shows just a plan view of sinkhole and concrete repairs. So repairs will take place at the top side of the pier deck, the underside of the deck, and the barge is attached to the south side of the pier. Topside repairs shown here include sinkhole repairs, resurfacing of bollards, repairs to cracked granite around the bollards, repairs to delaminated concrete, and replacement of safety ladders. If you go to the next slide, please. This just shows some of the deteriorated concrete and some sinkholes that have been temporarily filled or covered that need to be repaired. Go to the next slide. So this shows underdeck repairs. Underdeck repairs are going to take place at Vault 7 and Vaults 12 and 13. The underdeck repairs will involve spalling and repairs to the identified sections of the concrete encased steel beams. And the underdeck repairs don't involve in-water work, but will take place likely from a boat or a barge where necessary to reach these areas. And so this slide shows the Vault 7 sections that need to be repaired on the underside of the deck. And if you go to the next slide, this shows our sections of Vaults 12 and 13 where beams need to be repaired. And if you go to the next slide, this just shows some of the concrete encased steel beams that are deteriorated on the underside of Vault 7, 12, and 13. This is just typical deterioration that needs to be repaired in those sections. Go to the next slide. And then we just have barge and gangway repairs. There's a barge with a gangway attached to the south side of the pier, and the gangway connections need to be repaired, and then bend supports need to be replaced on the barge, and also the barge ladder needs to be repaired. And if you go to the next slide, we have our gangway connections that need repairs, and then a photo of the barge itself. And I think that's it.
Oh, Michael, you're muted.
Thank you. I am so sorry. Joe, thank you. So I assume on the barge, there's a spill management plan.
Yes, I think, Kevin, do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, available to contractors and.
Yep. So any of the marine contractors that'll be coming in for performing the work, a standard practice is to have a spill management kit on hand, whether it be landside or on the floating barge.
Okay, great. Thank you. I don't really have anything else. Elena?
Yes, the only note which is in the project file for the commission's review is that DMF had said that they don't have any resource area concerns.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Linay?
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, the other question I had was like if you know the cause of the sinkholes, is that like material migrating out, or is that just sort of natural compression degradation of the fill?
Our best understanding at the moment, Michael, is it's due to a lot of these utilities being abandoned over the years. And some of the structures are not what you would see currently, with typical construction of, say, a concrete vault. that was in place. This is stuff that is stacked stone utility structures that are deteriorating now over the years. And so the intent is for the sinkholes is to fix them by adding in, stone geotextiles, backfilling the grade, and then repaving, trying to mitigate that for future.
Okay, yeah, so it's existing void space that just is now consolidating
That and a
itself.
lot of abandoned utilities that I think the historic plugs may have now failed and is now filling into those utility pipes.
Okay, yeah, as long as it's not exfiltration into the harbor or something like that.
Nope.
That all sounds good.
We hit with it when we inspected the sea side of the structure, there was no evidence of soil migration.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to remind members of the public to provide public comment. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Commissioner Estes Margiazzi.
I have no questions on this matter.
Thank you. Commissioner Herbst.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Elena, I apologize. Did you mention something that needed a special condition? I don't think so, right?
There shouldn't be anything for this, no.
Okay, great. Thank you. So with that, I would entertain a motion to issue the order of conditions and close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Yes. Thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Sorry, aye.
Commissioner Estes Margiazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Have a great night.
Okay, next item on the agenda is notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2076 and Boston file number 2025-036 from Fort Point Associates on behalf of Classic Harbor Line for the proposed expansion of an existing 90-foot deck 50 feet seaward and the placement of one 20-inch steel pile to further accommodate vessel berthing at 60 Rose Wharf downtown. Resource areas land under ocean and fish runs. Who's here on behalf of the proponent?
Hi, Chair Parker. Erica Frazier here on behalf of the proponent.
Okay, are you solo?
I am also here with Kristen Faya, who is a representative from JLL for the Rose Wharf Condominium Association, who is the property owner, as well as Jerry Vandelinda from Classic Harbor Lines, and then my colleague Jasmine Olens.
Great. Okay, floor's all yours.
Thank you, Chair Parker. Next slide, please. As you mentioned, the project is located at 60 Rose Wharf in the Water Transportation Terminal, which is just east of the Boston Harbor Hotel. The Water Transportation Terminal sees over 600,000 passengers every year. And we are proposing a 50-foot dock extension to further accommodate vessel berthing at the project site. Next slide, please. Here are a couple existing
Erica, you may have frozen.
and photograph shows where the current Northern Lights vessel that Classic Harbor Lines operates is located. And then the third image is a top view from that vessel looking towards the other schooner that Classic Harbor Lines operates off of the adjacent dock. Next slide, please. As mentioned, the wetland resource areas at the project site are land under ocean and fish run. The proposed 20-inch steel pile would hold a approximately 620 square foot floating dock. There would be 3 total square feet of permanent impact to land under ocean and fish run, and then up to 5 square feet of temporary impacts for the placement of a spud barge, which would operate a vibratory hammer in order to place the pile. Next slide, please. For climate change impacts, the pile's top elevation is 20 feet NAVD 88. And it has been designed to accommodate the 100-year flood and future sea level rise. The pile and float can be easily modified with any increases in sea level rise throughout the design life. And the float was designed to resist wave exposure found at Rose Wharf. And the project won't increase any impacts associated with precipitation or temperature increases. Next slide, please. As I mentioned previously, a vibratory hammer will be utilized to advance the pile and to minimize impacts to resource areas. We have proposed a silt curtain be installed to contain any turbidity levels during the pile driving activities. And then we will be following time of year restrictions, but actually we did hear back from Mass DMF today, and they Dee Dee, I don't think that they commented on the time of year restrictions per se, but did applaud the vibratory hammer and ask that we do install a silk curtain.
Correct. Yep.
Thanks, Dee Dee.
problem.
Next slide, please. Yes, I think that was all we had.
Okay, great. Thank you. So as far as the vibratory hammer, so the way they operate, I think it's standard operation. It's a soft start. Bless you.
Sorry, I have a bit of a cough. Yes, it is typically a soft start and then for I believe 15 minutes. And then they would be in full effect.
Okay, good. I don't have anything else. Elena?
I didn't have anything to add to this either. Thank you.
Okay, just wanted to remind members of the public to provide public comments. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Commissioner Linay?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, I did. This is fun where it's like I didn't realize Rose Wharf was actually EDIC property, but it tracks. But I guess one question I had is just, do you have the harbor line of like 1939 there? Is there anything
Yes.
associated? Yeah,
Yes,
I
we
was just
do
curious
have
about
the
that.
State Harbor line, and we are going to be filing a Chapter 91 license application.
Okay, got it. And then just in terms of like, say, the dock to the south, it doesn't, I mean, does it have also this like sort of large pile that's associated with it? Or how is that fixed? And I guess is there, I don't know, does something, when you're putting something like that outside of the existing Chapter 91 boundary, does that trigger stuff? Or
Are you asking if the dock extension will
I guess
trigger?
like the relative permanence of the pile being put aboard of the existing line. I was just curious with how that works. Do you have
So that's addressed
some-
during our Chapter 91 application. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I guess good luck with the Chapter 91 process. I'm glad
Thank
it's
you.
not in my brain. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Estes Margiazzi?
I have no questions on this.
Thank you. Commissioner Herbst?
No questions from me.
Okay, Elena, I don't see any hands. Did you get any emails?
We did not get any emails, and I did not see any hands either.
Okay, great. So with that, I would entertain a motion to issue the order of conditions and close the hearing.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second?
Yep.
Thank you. Commissioner Linay?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Margiazzi?
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst?
Aye.
And I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair Parker and Commissioners.
Okay, the next item on the agenda. Commissioner Herbst, I apologize. I just realized late this afternoon, our firm represents Harbor Towers condominium. And I hate to spring this on you. So what I'll do what I will do is before I call the vote for you, if you accept this assignment to act as acting chair for this hearing, I will read the public comment blurb for you.
Thank
So
you.
you don't have to do that, and everything else should be pretty well set for you.
Okay.
To work your magic. So just want to remind members of the public to provide public comment. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9, *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. And this is a request for an amendment to the original order of conditions for DEP file number 0061983 and Boston file number 2024-007 from Weston and Sampson on behalf of the Harbor Towers condominium for the proposed installation and permanent deployable floodproofing systems for flood resiliency located at 65 and 85 East India Road, downtown Boston. Resource areas, land subject to coastal storm flowage, 25-foot waterfront area, rocky intertidal shore, and 100-foot buffered bank. As I mentioned, I will need to recuse myself because my firm does represent the Harbor Towers condominium, both towers 1 and 2. So with that, I would entertain a motion that Commissioner Herbst acts as chair for the purpose of this hearing.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Margiazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst.
Aye.
I enthusiastically vote aye. Thank you.
Thank you. So who is here for the Harbor Towers?
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. My name is JP Parnas from Weston and Sampson. I'm project architect and senior architect representing Harbor Towers condominiums. Thank you for taking the time tonight. If you could, I think I have a slideshow. Thank you. Just a very brief background. This is a requested amendment to a previously approved notice of intent for a resiliency project for dry floodproofing at the Boston Harbor Towers. The majority of the work was related to 2 areas around Harbor Towers number 1, related to removal and replacement of the existing generator, emergency generator exhaust stack, which sits currently out on the Harbor Walk. And then also some disturbance in the front of Harbor Towers 1, which is the entrance area of the existing concrete pavers and walkway. The amendment, and if you could go to the next slide, please. The amendment does make revisions to both of these areas. And I will start with the generator exhaust. If you could go to the next. As I'm sure commissioners know, there's an existing emergency generator exhaust stack sitting out on the Harbor Walk. The original plan was to replace that adjacent to the existing one with a new stack, which would mean excavating and removing the existing one and then excavating adjacent to it to add a new one. In the meantime, working with the contractor and the client, we've determined that there is a route for the exhaust that can go in the basement and out one of the areaways, the existing areaways within the building footprint. And therefore, we can eliminate the exhaust stack out on the Harbor Walk. So the proposal here, or I should say the revision here, is to eliminate the new exhaust stack in the Harbor Walk. Basically the work is limited to excavation and removal of the existing stack and then replacement of both the existing and then new concrete walkway area. Generally, this will actually be slightly less disturbance, and it's related to a complex issue about having to reinforce the existing foundation through which that existing generator exhaust goes through the foundation. We're also finding a different way to reinforce that from the interior, and therefore we're also reducing some of the excavation area adjacent to the building. If you could go to the next slide. Thank you. The second area is at the entry of Harbor Towers 1. There's a picture of it on the bottom left of the existing condition. As you can see, it's exclusively all impervious area. Those are existing concrete pavers, a concrete wheelchair access from the street up to the building. And then you can see beyond there's a landscaped area within a small knee wall. The original proposal took out some of those concrete pavers and removed the wheelchair access ramp and then placed a new wheelchair access ramp a little bit further to the east. Working again with the contractor and some existing grading issues, we've determined that we really need to remove more of those existing concrete pavers and install a sloped walkway up against that far landscaped area, and then replace the concrete pavers. The wheelchair ramp will also still get relocated slightly to the east to accommodate from the street. So the overall impervious area remains exactly as existing. There's a slight grade change, which was part of the original submission. Because of the waterproofing systems, we need to approach the building slightly higher. And I think that's mostly it. I don't recall if there's another slide or not. Nope, that's it.
Okay, thanks very much. Elena, what do you have for us on this?
Yes, so in the staff comments, you'll see that we've linked the Wetlands Program Policy 85-4 for amended orders, which provides guidance for commissioners on how to determine whether or not a change to a project is appropriate to process as an amendment. The main questions that I just wanted to highlight were whether the purpose of the project has changed, whether the scope of the project has increased, whether the project meets relevant performance standards, and whether the potential for adverse impacts to the protected statutory interest will be increased. I think that the main flag that we had for this, which we had discussed briefly with the project team before this hearing, is that DEP has in the past said that they would not be comfortable with commissions issuing an amended order of conditions for any work that would increase the total square footage of impacts to a resource area. I agree that I think that the scope, or excuse me, the purpose of the project is the same. The scope of the project has increased in square footage, but seems to cover the same original purpose. And yeah, so I think that our take on this is that a portion of the work I think could very easily be processed as an amendment, and I would love to know what the commission thinks for the portion of the project that does increase impacts within the 25-foot waterfront area, but specifically LSCSF.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful, Elena.
Thank you.
I guess I'll just offer my opinion, which is that while it's an increased area of work, it's basically making no particular change. We'll have the same surface. It's not increasing impervious surface. So my sense would be that this would be acceptable to me personally, but and would fit within the spirit of what an amendment is meant to accomplish. Commissioner Linay?
I think that makes sense to me as well, but I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Wilson?
None here either. Just these waterfront condos have very long abutter notifications that we've been seeing tonight. So appreciate you supporting the U.S. Postal Service. So.
Commissioner Estes Smargiassi?
No comments. I do think it's suitable as an amendment. I'm glad to see the smoke, the exhaust stack gone. It's always stuck out as you walk by there.
Okay. Thank you. Elena, any comments from?
No comments, no, and nothing in the inbox either.
Okay. In that case, I would entertain a motion to approve the requested amendment to the order of conditions.
So moved.
I'll take one of you as a second. Thank you. Commissioner Linay?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Smargiassi,
Aye.
and I vote aye, so that passes 4-0. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your time.
And Chair Parker will take you back.
Sure, thank you. You didn't give me enough time to eat. Okay.
Oh, apologies. I wanted to just flag quickly. Did we close the hearing as well?
Right.
Just to make sure.
Yes, and close the hearing.
Amazing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is request for an amendment to the original order of conditions for DEP file number 0061856 from 4 Point Associates on behalf of Navy Yard Hospitality Group LLC for the proposed development of the eastern portion of Pier 1, which includes the placement of repurposed storage containers for retail and food service and the creation of seasonal entertainment space, including an ice skating loop, food services, winter games, warming huts, a harbor walk, and utility service at 29 Marginal Street in East Boston. Resource areas land subject to coastal storm flowage. Who's here on behalf of the proponent?
Hi, Chair Parker, myself again, Erica Frazier.
Back.
I'm back. And I am here with Charlie Lerner from Navy Yard Hospitality Group, Chris Bush, Eliza Tan, Anthony Guerrero from who is the property owner, Souza Design and Architects, and Carrier Associates, and my colleague Jasmine Olens.
Okay, a full team. Now, property owner, I thought the property owner was Massport. Who's Anthony Guerrero? Is he the property owner?
Anthony Guerrero is with Massport.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Never mind. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, floor is all yours.
Great. Next slide, please. As Chair Parker mentioned, we submitted a request for an amendment to activate the eastern portion of Pier 1, which everyone knows as the tall ship. We'll be placing repurposed storage containers and creating a winter wonderland, if to say the least. The project's purpose is not being changed from what was originally proposed, which is activating a vacant pier. We are within flood zone AE and VE. All these structures are temporary in nature. And we can move to the next slide, please. Excuse me. So the eastern side of the pier, as you can see, is mostly vacant. The western side of the pier has, of course, the tall ship, storage containers for food service, bathrooms, a lawn for gathering, and an event stage, and plenty more amenities for the public. Next slide, please. Here is a proposed work plan. Reading from top, from left to right, is the concession stands. There is a bar and food service in the center of the ice rink loop, and there are some more concessions over by, and bathroom over by the warming tent. You can see that the harbor walk wraps around the southern and most eastern portion. There is a sled park, rental tent, ice bumpers, another warming hut, and some lounges. Next slide, please. So the operations and maintenance that are outlined in the original order of conditions is the same as the west side of the pier. I've included an image of the silt sock, which was wrapped around the entire pier from the beginning. The debris sweeping will continue to occur and the Navy Yard Hospitality Group does regular site cleanups around the area. There is waste collection every 5 to 7 days. There are bathroom cleaning services. We have an implemented spill response protocol. There will be propane tanks associated with the western portion for small fire pits, and they'll be handled in accordance with the license that they have with Massport. And then we will be complying with the stormwater management standards to the maximum extent practicable. Next slide, please. And so here is just a fun rendering to show what the site will look like. We are proposing work start in November with an opening to the public by January 26th. And that is all I have.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so a couple quick questions. And Elena, I have to say, it was very helpful to go over the DEP policy document with you today, 84-4, regarding when amendments are appropriate. And in looking at this, I have to say at first blush, when I looked at it, it didn't occur to me that this would qualify for an amendment, but then reading through the policy, I have to say that given the criteria, I think there are 4 criteria here. Purpose of the project hasn't changed. Scope of the project hasn't changed. It's waterfront activation. Still meet the performance standards. We have a order of conditions that's in place that I feel is protective. It's protective for the first phase of this waterfront activation. It looks like it's protective for the second phase. I know that the silt sock is wrapped around the perimeter of the pier. I've seen that personally. Erica, a question on the maintenance of the silt sock. How's that working? Does it looked in pretty good shape?
Yeah, and it's inspected weekly.
Okay.
So I think it's serving its purpose very well.
Okay. So the other thing that occurs to me with an amendment of this sort, if I would think your order of conditions is, I think, in place maybe because of the Permit Extension Act until 2027, if I remember correctly.
That is correct.
And so it occurs to me that this looks like this would be pretty successful based on the rendering and the demand for outdoor activities along the waterfront. As far as restaging every year, I think staff would want to know when the infrastructure is restaged, because this is temporary, right? It's probably up for what, 5 months max, 4 to, I don't know, whatever the winter season is. So want to make sure that the project doesn't, it's unlikely, but extend beyond the footprint. So if someone gets a wild design of a cantilevered ski jump over the harbor, then, you know, clearly we'd want to know about that. I mean, again, looking at this policy, it feels fine to me. So I'm going to pass it along to the rest of the commissioners. Elena, go to you first.
Yes, so it's probably not helpful for me to repeat exactly what I said during the last hearing. But again, that is linked in the staff comments, that wetlands policy, in case it is helpful. And again, it outlines the criteria that DEP recommends commissioners look at when they're considering something like this. And Chair Parker, I think you covered all of my thoughts on the project as well. I don't have anything to add to that.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Linay?
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilson?
I was just curious in terms of the ice skating loop. Like, it says that the operating or the freezing temperature is 10 to 19 degrees Fahrenheit. I guess, like, how often do you think it will be open in terms of like being able to maintain those temperatures?
So Charlie, I believe that we have a apparatus that helps freeze the rink as well.
Yeah, not to cut you off. I have on this as well is the rink itself has its own cooling system, which keeps the ice frozen throughout the day. And so it would be frozen whether it's freezing temperatures outside or if it's 60 degrees outside.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, so that sort of leads to my
Chiller,
next
it's a chiller
question is, yeah, it was sort of like, what's the refrigerant and cooling system and that sort of thing that's
I
out
have
there right now?
Roberto Gomez on this, who is with the company that's going to be building the ice rink. So Roberto, do you want to step in and explain?
Sure. I hope everybody can hear me. I just hit the tap for the
Yep.
speaking. Is it okay? Awesome. Thank you for having us. Yeah, so we have a chiller on site that is in a closed loop glycol system, and we have a mat system that is laid out on the floor of the pier, and we spray that with water, and that's the coolant circulates in that closed loop system, and that's what keeps forms the ice and keeps it cool. So on days where it's cooler, the chiller doesn't work as much or as hard, and on days where it's a little bit warmer, more more sun exposure, the chiller will work harder.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I guess what I'm looking at in terms of like spill response is typically we've sort of thought about that as more construction oriented, right? That's like, you know, somebody's bulldozer leaks out oil, but in terms of having, if there were to be some sort of glycol issue, I guess, is there a separate spill response plan that we could see?
The ethylene glycol that we use is soluble, so and because it's contained in a closed loop, the risk of spill is almost zero. So as far as the spill response, we will have pumps on site, but because the tubes are so small, it's just easier to just clamp and clean it up.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think it
Yeah,
aligns closely with what we have in the, what would occur, aligns closely with the spill response measures that we outlined.
What?
Okay. Yeah, I can't imagine it's a huge amount of volume, but I'm just thinking in terms of stuff we've seen, say, from like Massport or something like that with their de-icing facilities and that type of stuff. I mean, the volume and you're not spraying it out into the atmosphere intentionally. So it's very different in that sense, but just, yeah, curious.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, it's a good thought. I mean, and I think Roberto and Erica, if there is a manufacturer's kit that goes with that regarding spill prevention, I think we'd like to see that. Roberto, as far as mounting the chiller, is there some sort of containment, or is it mounted on a slab, or actually right on the pier? How's it mounted? Is there some sort of like shallow containment?
The chiller itself is contained in a unit, and then it's just placed onto it's rolled off a flatbed and placed onto the slab of the pier.
Okay, understood. Okay, so the chiller is enclosed. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Closed loop. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Great. Is there an alarm for something like that? If there's like a pinprick or something and glycol is escaping, is that like something that like carbon monoxide or something, it would trigger an alarm?
Yes, there's an alarm because there'll be a drop in pressure, and there is
Yep.
an alarm that's sounded on the panel of the chiller itself.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And the coolant is of a different color, so usually pink or blue, so very easy to spot in white ice.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Estes Margiazzi?
No questions.
Okay, Commissioner Herbst? Commissioner Herbst? She had some issues earlier.
She's muted still.
I'm sorry, this is not my night.
Okay.
So there's a remarkable amount of things on the pier. What kind of a plan do you have for a nor'easter or a major storm?
We have same plan that the same plan that we would have for a massive storm in the summertime that's on that pier. So all of everything that is on the pier is getting tied down. We have engineered drawings for all of the different parts that would protect it from, you know, high winds and storm surges.
And I believe all the looser materials are put into a storage container. So chairs, liners, yes.
Correct.
Okay, well, respectfully, I think this for me is a bit pushed too far for an amendment, but I hear Chair Parker's analysis, and you are an attorney, so I do respect that. Thank you.
Well, I will admit, I was a little surprised after I looked at the policy and squared it up with what was in front of us. I think the point that also structure, and I think that you might have mentioned this earlier, the intent of the policy itself, the preamble, and also where they mention that if the order of conditions is, you know, already in place and it's protective, and then, you know, that seems to be the intent. But I will agree with you. When I first looked at it, I actually chuckled out loud. And then Ellen and I had a good conversation about it. Elena, do we have any raised hands or any emails?
We don't have any raised hands or new emails, but I did just want to draw the commission's attention to the public comments that we received ahead of the hearing. Those are in the drive folder. I believe there are 6 of them.
Yes, and they were all, they seem to be from community groups, East Boston, Chamber of Commerce. They were all in support. None of them really touched on wetlands performance issues, and we didn't have any letters opposing on wetlands performance. I don't think we had any in opposing, but none, just checking, since I last looked at it, nothing raised any performance standard issues.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the amendment to the order of conditions and close the hearing.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Linay?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Margiazzi?
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst?
No.
Okay, and I vote aye, so that carries 4-1. Okay, thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Okay. Okay, there have been 2 continuances. Continuous notice of intent for DEP file number 0061996 and Boston file number 2024-021. Also continued notice of intent for DEP file number 0062042 and Boston file number 2025-014. We'll now begin our regular meeting. First item on the agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0061597 from Epsilon Associates on behalf of 135 Morrissey Owner LLC for the renovation and landscaping improvements of the former Boston Globe building located at 135 Morrissey Boulevard in Dorchester. Resource area, land subject to coastal storm flowage. Eleanor, what do we have on this?
Yes, so, oh, it looks like my camera's working. We would recommend holding off on voting on this because they still need to install a few fish plates and have not been able to do so yet.
Okay, so let's go to the next one, which is request for a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0061628 from NStar Electric Company, DBA Eversource Energy, Eversource for the preliminary site preparation and soil remediation activities associated with the planned construction of substation 131 located on Lot 2, Condor Street in East Boston. Resource area is 100-foot buffer to coastal bank and designated port area. What do we have there?
Yes, so we conducted a site visit on September 11th, 2025. Everything appeared to have been done in accordance with the permit that was issued, and we would recommend issuing a certificate of compliance with perpetual maintenance conditions numbers 27, 33, 45, 46, 51, and 63.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from any commissioners?
Yes, my only question is okay, it's for a site prep, so it seems far from being completed in terms of construction, but
definitely
this
not.
is
Yeah.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Okay, so with that, I'd entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0061628 with the perpetual maintenance conditions in place, being numbers 27, 33, 45, 46, and 63.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Margiazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, next item is request for a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-1980 and Boston file number 2024-004 from BCP CG 27 Property LLC, care of Beacon Capital Partners LLC for the renovation of the entrance lobby and facade and the installation of an exterior signage container located at 27 Dry Dock, South Boston, land subject to coastal storm flowage. How are we doing on this one, Elena?
Yes, so similarly, we conducted a site visit on October 2nd. Again, the work appeared to be done in accordance with the permit, and we would recommend issuing a certificate of compliance with perpetual maintenance conditions 58, 60, 63, 76, 84, 85, and 91.
Okay. Thank you. So with that, any questions from any commissioners? Okay, so with that, I'd entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-1980 and Boston file number 2024-004 with the perpetual maintenance conditions in place for conditions 58, 60, 63, 76, 84, and 91.
And 85.
And 85.
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson.
Oops. Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Estes Margiazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Thank you. Finally, a request for a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-1954 and Boston file number 2023-044 from TRC Company on behalf of the City of Boston Public Facilities Department for the repairs to an existing asphalt driveway and installing a temporary reinforced gravel driveway at the shoreline of Long Island, located in Boston. Resource areas are numerous. Okay, land subject to coastal storm flowage, coastal bank, coastal dune, coastal bank, coastal beach, 25-foot waterfront area, 100-foot buffer to coastal beach, 100-foot buffer to coastal dune, and 100-foot buffer to coastal bank. Eleanor, what do you have on this?
Yes, so we also conducted a site visit for this project on October 7th. The work, I mean, relative to the rest of the site, the work that is actually within the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission is relatively small. But we got to see it and took a boat out and everything appeared to be done according to the permit. And based on that, we would recommend issuing a certificate of compliance with perpetual maintenance conditions 62, 66, 69, 89, 97, 98, and 103.
Okay, any questions from commissioners? Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-1954 in Boston, file number 2023-044 with the perpetual maintenance conditions remaining in place, numbered 62, 66, 69, 89, 97, 98, and 103.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Margiazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you. Administrative updates. Eleanor.
Yes, we have a few. The first is an administrative approval, which we processed for a resident who lives at 68 Kenrick Street. This is right alongside Chandler Pond, and basically the entire lot, definitely the entire backyard, is within the 100-foot buffer to inland bank. There is a hazardous Norway maple in their backyard, which was causing concern to them both because of its proximity to their house as well as their neighbor's house. So we issued an administrative approval to not remove the entire tree, but to remove the hazardous portions of the tree and to leave a snag in place. The administrative approval is in the drive folder for the commission's review. There is attachment A has both an aerial view of where the tree is located as well as a street view of where the tree is located. But happy to answer any questions about this.
I don't have any. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Administrative update number
Thank
2.
you. Yes, administrative update number 2. We had discussed this during a previous hearing, but we have issued an enforcement order for Coastal Cement. This is for unauthorized work that was done on Massport land at 88 Black Falcon Ave. And it was for modifications to a deck. They had done some deck work and installed a chain link fence. We are not asking them to undo the work, but rather to file an after the fact notice of intent. And we would be asking the commission to ratify this enforcement order if they are comfortable doing so.
Okay, I'm certainly comfortable. Anyone else have any questions, comments? Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to ratify the enforcement order for against Coastal Concrete for the, where's the
Coastal
property located?
Cement, I believe, yes.
Okay, Coastal Cement. Where's the property again? It's Massport property, right?
Yeah, so it's 88 Black Falcon Avenue.
Okay. Okay, let me do this properly. Okay. So a motion to ratify the enforcement order issued by staff to Coastal Cement for unauthorized alterations at 88 Falcon Terminal.
88 Black Falcon Avenue.
Black Falcon Avenue. Okay, thank you.
So
I'm getting
moved.
it. Okay, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Marziazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Anything else, Elena? You're
It's
muted.
muted. 3 more
Okay.
items. Zoom was trying to tell me something. So we have a few environmental monitoring reports which we received for a project which received a superseding order of conditions in 2021. It's for DEP file number 006 1606, and those are in the dry folder for the commission's review. If any commissioners have any questions now, I'm happy to note them and get back to the project team and try to get those answered. Or if anybody wants to take a look at them after the hearing, also happy to try to answer any questions over email.
Thank you. So Commissioner Herbst, I was surprised to see this, and Commissioner Wilson as well. I didn't realize that there was an SOC ever ordered against us, but apparently we denied this permit. And if you remember, it was one of my first hearings, and the issue was, I believe, a condominium with a pathway, and there was like a burgeoning salt marsh area. And I just remember it got contentious. It was pre-COVID, and we had a long discussion. And Commissioner Herbst, I remember you especially making the point that it was there was a concern about the water quality and the adjoining salt marsh area. And I guess I didn't follow it. And 2 years later, they got a SOC and they built the project. So these are the reports, if you remember.
I don't. That's the truth. I'll have to look at it.
Now, if Commissioner Wilson doesn't remember it, then I know I dreamed it.
I do, yes. And
Okay,
but
good.
there is also like what they were planning to construct was there's some magical thinking involved in the sort of helical piles and boardwalk cantilevering and stuff like that. And then this came up like, I don't know, it's lucky day thing, like a month ago, when there's sort of like a public access pathway there that's definitely has a fence going across it. I thought was the whole intent of extending the access through the site was to connect it to Constitution Beach and such, but that
Didn't
appears
happen.
not. Yeah, because
that's interesting.
somebody else
Ringing
permitted
a bell
something
now.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Bummer. Okay. Okay.
Oh, and sorry,
go ahead.
Commissioner Wilson, I just wanted to let you know that we had followed up, and DCR is aware of the gate issue at this point. I think that I may have followed up over email, but I don't know if we had a chance to connect on that. So
yes.
it's on their radar that the public access issue has, well, I guess that public access has become an issue, I should say.
Oh yeah, no. due to the barrier, yes. Cool.
Great.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
a nice
Elena,
looking
you said,
building. So,
oh,
yeah.
it is actually. It is. Elena, you said you had, Elena, actually, is this Coleridge? Is this, you went on a site visit or something? Is this where, staff mentioned that, the project was doing wonderful things with stormwater management? Or am I imagining that?
I don't think it was that, no, it was a different project, but I think that it may have been nearby because I think Commissioner Wilson, I think you had brought up the issue of having been out there recently and the gate being there, but now I am trying to remember why that came up in a previous hearing.
I know you said you went out to look, inspect for a certificate of completion or compliance.
Mhm.
And you came back and everybody, you, Dee Dee, and Alice were all very impressed with what you saw. But it doesn't matter. We can look it up later. We all
No,
need
but
to watch baseball or go to bed or something.
I think it may have been, was it 282 Bremen? Does that?
Yes, that was it. That was it.
But yes, so
Sorry. Yep.
no. And then the last of our two administrative updates, very exciting news. So I believe all of the commissioners know this at this point, but we are having our special hearing next Wednesday, so on October 15th. And we are hoping to ask that the commission open the public comment period for the Phase 3 regulations. We hope to have a draft available to share out before then, but at the very latest, it will be available to the public the following morning, so the morning of October 16th. We also have a landing page for that on the city website, so I'm just going to put that in the chat in case anybody wants to follow along there. But the anticipated timeline is that, again, we'll have that special hearing on the 15th to open the public comment period. The public comment period is anticipated to close on November 14th. And in the middle there, on October 29th, we're planning to have a community information session to answer any questions that folks may have after they've started to review the regulations.
Oh, fantastic news. I didn't know we were having a hearing next week. That's great news because
Wait.
now we'll have a hearing 2
I
weeks in a row.
believe.
Okay. No, it is what it is. I don't know why I
Oh,
missed
you
that.
had RSVP'd, yes.
I did? Okay.
Yes. Sorry.
That's the problem. I RSVP yes to everything.
I'm sorry, that's fair.
I don't really look. Okay. Okay.
Elena, could you say what your expectation is for the meeting next week from us in particular? Are you looking for comments at that point, or is this something
We're
very
not-
brief where we're just saying, hey, this is happening?
We would just be opening the public comment period. We would be giving you an overview of what's included in each of the sections, but we would not have expected you to review the draft regulations at that point.
So is this a very brief meeting? I'm just trying to.
It will probably be pretty brief. I think that's the expectation.
I mean, you're not looking for questions. This is really just to.
It really
something
does.
along.
The primary goal is to open the public comment period. I mean, I think overarching questions of what's included would make sense, but I think that we're still finalizing things in the draft regs, and so they'll be ready for the 15th. But I think that they won't be ready much earlier for the commissioners to have a chance to do a full review.
Okay.
So you, at the very least, to open up the public comment period, I would assume environment staff is going to do at least a brief presentation on
Yes,
the
so we're
regulation. Then-
going to be going over what's included in each of the sections of the regulations.
Okay, so we expect there'll be probably some comments from stakeholders in the public if they attend this meeting. We'll have our own comments, and then we go and review what you've given us. And public comment period ends sometime mid-November. Okay, makes sense. Great.
And
And
happy
you-
to answer any other questions that might come up between now and then.
Okay,
And then lastly, another exciting update is that the Mattahunt Woods Urban Wild is reopening. There is going to be a ribbon cutting and sort of celebration on October 24th, and that's going to be in the afternoon. I believe it is scheduled for 1 to 3 p.m. And again, just going to drop that information in the chat for anybody who's interested. We would love to see you there, but it's going to be exciting to see what all of the work through the capital project actually looks like in practice, and we'll get to walk around and appreciate the boardwalks and yeah, it's looking really incredible. We've had the chance to go there for a few site visits while it's been in progress, and it is, I mean, just the transformation is unbelievable. It's really incredible.
That's great. That's great. Fantastic news. I'm a little disappointed, though, that the pictures for the Mattahunt Woods don't include me standing talking while Commissioner Herbst is actually doing real work on that day.
We can make sure to include that in
Yeah,
more.
can we put that on the
distribution.
signage somewhere in the resolution?
I'm more
I know.
embarrassed.
That
And I
needs to
think
be,
Amelia was like dragging the hood of a car up a slope.
Oh my goodness.
I was like,
That's yeah, the site has been through a lot.
okay, thank you. Anything else?
That's it for admin updates.
A lot. You've been busy. With this hearing, putting together this meeting with all these hearings, and then putting all of this together with the regs, it feels like you all are been very, very busy. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Okay, last item on the agenda, acceptance of meeting minutes, and you got caught up on all the meeting minutes.
Shout out
which
to
is
Max and Dee Dee on that, to be 100% honest, and
That's
you,
smart.
Parker, for reviewing them.
So I looked at them quickly, just a couple typos. They were very well done. So unless there are any questions, I'd entertain a motion to accept the meeting minutes from September 3rd and September 17th, 2025.
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Smargiassi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. So with that, motion to adjourn by acclamation. Good night, everyone. And I guess we'll see you next week and the week after that.
Yes.
Okay.
Lots of quality time. Thank you all.
Take care.
Thank you.
Good night.